What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the What the World Needs podcast 2. This is episode number 2. I recorded the first episode not knowing what the hell I was going to call this podcast. So if you listen to that one, I kept saying this was a nameless podcast. After I listened back, I thought, wow, I'm just going to call it What the World Needs. For those of you who don't know, What the World Needs is a song that I wrote off of my newest album, Purgatory, which you can find on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon Music, and I think iHeartRadio, I believe. At least the first part of the album is there. Anyway, it is a song that pretty much has to do with everybody coming together and learning to love one another and treat each other like human beings. And I think it's something that, especially now, people need to hear, especially with everything going on in the world and the pointing fingers and the bickering and the back and forth and all the bullshit that goes on. So I figured that's the message that I want to spread across any platform. So why not make this podcast, name it after that song? Because that's the message I want to spread with this podcast and with everything. So this is the What the World Needs podcast, official welcome. And again, if you go to whattheworldneeds.us, you can listen to the podcast there or listen on iTunes. I'm also uploading on Facebook and YouTube as well. So, yeah. This episode, I kind of wanted to touch on the law of attraction a little bit. If you're listening to a podcast, I assume that you are familiar with the law of attraction, positive thinking, all that bullshit. I used to be one of those, as long as you think positive, great things will come type of people. But I think it's more than that. You know, I think the law of attraction, people get it wrong. Like, kumbaya is great. But I feel like there needs to be action behind it. You can't just sit on your couch and if you believe that a Ferrari is going to fall into your lap, that eventually it's going to fall into your lap. So I kind of wanted to touch on that and just go through my journey the last year and a half, dealing with depression, being a struggling songwriter, and influencer, and how I got to this point that I am at right now. And I figured what better way to talk about it than to talk about my New Year's resolution last year, or I should say resolutions, because I decided, you know what, I need to write down my goals. I need to figure out what the fuck I want to do and make a plan and attack that plan. So I'm going to go back to about a year ago, to probably one of the deepest depressions I had ever been in. All my life I've struggled with depression and, dealt with really bad bouts of depression from the time I was 12, 13 years old in adolescence, being bullied and, struggling with my sexuality, coming out of the closet, and also just hormonal imbalances. I've always struggled with depression on and off my entire life. But around this time last year, I was in a very bad place. And I had nowhere else to turn as far as anything to help me get better. I didn't want to be on medication. I didn't want to be a walking zombie. And I know I'm not knocking medication. It just, for me, wasn't the route I wanted to go down. So I decided, January 1st came, and I've always had this dream of I've always been a songwriter. I've always been a singer. But I always had this dream of being not a YouTuber, but being on YouTube and being an influencer and a creator and and having people know my face and my name and my personality, and just connecting with people. So I decided that I was finally going to upload one video a week come January 1st, 2017. I wrote down my New Year's resolutions, and one of those resolutions was to get 1,000 subscribers in that year, in this year, 2017. So one of the first, I guess, official YouTube videos that I had made was a reaction video. I reacted to Mariah Carey's New Year's performance because I figured it would be funny. And no disrespect to the singer either, because I think she's fucking incredible. She just bombed that particular performance. They fucked her up. They really fucked her up. But anyway, I figured this, if anything, it's going to be entertaining for me to react to this performance and whatever. And now the video quality wasn't good at all. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just knew that I was going to do it. So I made this reaction, and I told myself that I was going to commit to making one video a week at least about anything that I wanted it to be about, just so that I could build up the consistency on YouTube, because of the algorithm and everything like that, and hopefully build up a following. Now, for the entire year, one of my resolutions was to gain 1,000 followers on YouTube, 1,000 subscribers, I should say. And after that first reaction was posted, I'll never forget it. JR Versailles was the first commenter that wasn't one of my family members or somebody I had bribed to go check out my YouTube video. And he was from the Philippines, and he asked me to react to a Filipino singer, KZ Tandingan. I think that's how you pronounce it. I had no idea who the hell she was, but I was like, you know what? This is my first comment. This is my first non-family, non-friend comment. Somebody stranger that I didn't know commenting, asking me to do more. So I was so excited about this, and I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I love music, you know what I mean? So I reacted to this singer, and after that reaction was made, I had 1,000 subscribers in a little less than a week. So I had reached my year goal in 1 week. And that was fucking incredible to me. And I continued doing that, and then the second week went by, and I had another 1,000 subscribers. I had gained another 1,000 subscribers. The third week went by, I had gained another 1,000. And week 4, I had 4,000 subscribers. And once I hit, I want to say about 5,000, I started getting a little bit lazy, a little bit lackadaisical. But the moral of the story is the law of attraction. What we fail to understand with the law of attraction is that the universe works in crazy ways. The universe doesn't care about the how. It only cares about the what. So when I made the decision in my deepest, darkest depression, I was not in any state of la-di-fucking-da, everything is rainbows and butterflies. I was in a very deep, deep sadness. And even in that sadness, I was able to manifest because I knew that if I just continued to work and do the work and do what needed to be done, it would be done. Did I know that it would happen in a week? Absolutely not. But it did. And now, I want to say that was January. We're in November now. Now I have almost 15,000 subscribers. and a wonderful growing community of people who support me, and they don't just support my YouTube videos, they support my music, and they support me as a human being and anything that I have. They support this podcast, and I couldn't be happier to have gotten to know all of them. You know, my subscribers, I call them my Filipino family. But basically, I just wanted to touch on that story because I feel like a lot of times we think that if we just have a positive outlook, that things are going to manifest. But the most important thing behind that positivity and that momentum is action. You can't just sit on your ass and do nothing. You don't have to know how it's going to manifest. You don't have to know how it's going to bring about itself. You just have to know that it will, believe that it will, and do the work required to make it happen. You know, right now I'm working toward becoming a songwriter and getting my songs placed and working with a bunch of people overseas and things like that. And I couldn't be happier doing that. And I know that I'm never going to get a song placed if I just sit here and lollygag. You know what I mean? You have to constantly be working. And another thing, I obviously, the importance of the law of attraction and the importance of not just thinking up your goals, but writing them down, and not just writing them down once and never visiting them again. You have to revisit them and revisit them and revisit them, because our minds are constantly going. Our minds are constantly thinking. So when you have 60,000 thoughts in one day, or one minute, I should say, in a day, how can you be constantly at the forefront of your mind thinking about every single goal that you've ever dreamed up or ever thought about? You can't. So you have to constantly remind yourself, whether it be a weekly thing, even a monthly thing. I didn't always go back to my book of resolutions every single day, especially in my deepest, darkest depression. I didn't fucking do that. Who's got time for that? Who's got the mental capacity for that, to retain that every single day? Like at that point, I didn't. You know what I mean? When you're in a deep depression, you can barely retain like what your fucking name is, let alone what your resolutions are. I just knew that regardless of that, I was gonna continue to soldier on and continue to do the work needed to make one of my goals, dreams, aspirations, whatever you want to call it, a reality. So I kind of wanted to share that with everybody. And I wanted to share a couple of my resolutions. I wrote it down in this cool book that I have. If you're watching me on YouTube, you can see the book. It's pretty dope, actually. I wanted to grow my following on social media, because here I am, an aspiring singer-songwriter. What do I need? I need attention. I need eyes. I need people who are actually interested in me and my music, you know? So obviously that's a big thing. I wanted to put my album out. I have put the first part of my album out. And the two most important things that I wanted to share was the 1,000 subscribers. And also, once I hit 1,000, I wrote 10,000 down. I have 30 resolutions on here, and I wrote them down, and I would revisit them every couple of months, honestly, not even monthly. And now looking back, honestly, now that I've checked off what whatever it is I feel I accomplished. I've accomplished, out of 30, they're all numbered here, I've accomplished about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Out of 30, I've accomplished 15 New Year's resolutions. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it. It's not something that I was doing consciously. That's the thing. That's the most important part, is that the universe, when you get out of the universe's way, the universe gets out of your fucking way. That's the main thing. That's the law of attraction in and of itself. The universe will give you whatever it is you're dreaming about, as long as you get the fuck out of your own way and you get the fuck out of its way. So I have one more story. Now, in about March of 2017, so about 9 months ago, excuse me, I'm a little sick. About 9 months ago, I submitted I submitted my original music to this website called blazetrack.com. For those of you who don't know, who aren't like musicians, it's a website where you can pay money to submit tracks to label executives, A&Rs, songwriters, things of, like-minded individuals who have actually made it in the industry. And they can either critique your stuff, and if they like your stuff enough, they give you a shot at either songwriting, whatever it is you're applying for, a record deal. So I submitted my music to a couple of different A&Rs for songwriting gigs, and a couple of them, I got mixed reviews, honestly. Music is subjective. You know what I mean? There are people out there who told the Beatles and Elvis that they would never make it. There is a guy out there who told Elvis to go back to his truck driving job because he'd never make it. And these are two iconic acts that changed music. You know what I mean? So the moral of the story is that all you need is that one yes. So I got that one yes, that one guy who was like, yes, I love your shit. I want you to write for me. He sent me some tracks. I wrote one particular track for him that he's currently in the process of shopping out to labels, which means he's pretty much presenting this song to a bunch of different A&Rs at different labels, Def Jam, Epic, whatever it is, and saying, hey, this is a song I have. Will you guys place this with one of your artists? You know what I mean? Let's say Justin Bieber has an album coming out. The label will give this song to Justin Bieber and say, hey, what do you think of this? Do you want this on your album? You want to redo this? If Justin Bieber likes it, he takes it, puts it on his album. That's a placement for me. That's pretty much what that means. So, needless to say, he's currently shopping it out to a bunch of different labels, and I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to see what happens from this. And I guess it's I don't know, who knows? People may not like it. That's why it's taken so long. Who the fuck knows? He may not be shopping it out. I don't know. But this guy, I paid money to talk to this guy. I paid money pretty much to get this guy's email address. Not literally, because he's got to like what you're presenting to him, but I paid money to get this guy's time to listen to my stuff, to like my stuff, and give me the opportunity. So essentially, you're paying to, it's like going to a record label, and instead of being offered the meeting with them, having to pay for it. You know what I mean? So in hindsight, I probably wouldn't ever do this again, like anything like that again, but there are definitely benefits from it. It's just not for me. I want to earn my shit. I want people to come to me. So needless to say, that was in March. Fast forward to September 29th, which was my album release party here in New York. I had a couple people come, not a couple hundred. I had like a little over 100 people come to this party, and I released my album. I performed the album. My barber, for those of you who aren't watching me on YouTube, I have short hair, so I go and see a barber. My barber knows this guy who knows a famous producer, and the guy heard my songs on SoundCloud. He liked what he heard, and he, reached out to me and he said, hey, I'll send you these tracks. You write to them, and I'm going to try and get you placed. Pretty much kind of like what this dude in back in March was trying to do. Credible guy, the producer has worked with people like Trey Songz, Patti LaBelle, huge names in R&B. So I was like, all right, awesome. So currently I'm talking to this guy. Maybe like 2 weeks ago I was talking to this dude. And maybe one day, who knows, I'm building the relationship with him right now. Maybe one day I'll have him on the fucking podcast. Who knows? He's a really dope dude though. We were just talking casually, just going back and forth about music. And on a hunch, I was like, hey, do you know so-and-so? I asked him if he knew the guy that I had written for back in March. And he did. And he knew a couple of producers under this dude. Because this dude, the dude I met in March, he owns a publishing company. What publishing companies do is they take, producers and writers under them. And they're kind of like the middleman, and they're like the distributors of all the songs. You know what I mean? It's hard to explain. I'll make an episode about that. But because I'm trying to keep it as quick as possible, as short as possible, that's what this dude does. So, needless to say, the guy that I had been working with recently knows the dude that I worked with in March. And now I haven't really spoken to the dude that I worked with in March. We're cordial, but it's not like there's a consistent communication going on. So in my head, it was kind of like a full circle moment where it was like, yeah, like they were kind of in the same writer circle. So I was like, wow. And it kind of made me take a step back and think, holy shit. Back in March, I didn't have to pay money to fucking submit my music to this dude. All I had to do was what I was doing, and it would have happened on its own. It would have happened freely. Here I have this dude who, works with a pretty famous producer. One year, at one of the award shows, he won Producer of the Year. So he's a really, really well-known producer. And here's this dude who is giving me a shot, not because it's like, hey, pay me and I'll give you a shot. Like, just heard my music on SoundCloud because I threw a dope fucking album release party, and who knows? In my head, my wheels were turning, because I was like, if I write something dope for this dude and I get placed for this dude and he knows the dude from back in March, word of mouth, the dude back in March may have heard about me through this and come to me. I didn't have to pay him. That's the whole point. The whole point of this story is to say that the universe works in crazy fucking ways, and it will bring you everything that you're dreaming about. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to control everything. You have to control your actions and what you do. But as long as what you're doing is in accordance with what your dreams are, then you're golden. As long as you're putting in the fucking work, then you're golden. Even if you don't know if the work that you're putting in is going to lead to anything. I didn't know that my album release party was going to bring about another songwriting opportunity. I had no idea. And my ultimate goal is to write songs. That's my ultimate goal. I like the whole artist side of it, but I want to be a songwriter for a living, for sure. That's my main goal. So when my friend had come to me and said, hey, you need to throw an album release party, I was down for it just because it seemed like an amazing event to throw, and a great opportunity to sell my music, and sell myself as an artist. I had no idea that it would come again full circle and bring me right to a very similar songwriting opportunity that I had paid for back in March. You know what I mean? So this is the whole point, and I hope I've brought forth my point a little bit. Same thing with YouTube. When I first started reactions, and my followers don't really know this, my YouTube family, they don't really know that when I first started reactions, I loved doing them, but I kind of fell off a little bit because I didn't understand how it was going to help my music. I didn't understand. I was like, well, how is this? I mean, obviously, on top of being depressed, I was like, how is this going to help me grow as a songwriter, as a musician? And had I known then what I know now, I would have just continued full force and not stopped. But I knew that I loved the connections that I was making. I loved meeting the new people. I loved learning about the culture, the Filipino culture. And I continued doing it because it felt good. I didn't know how this was going to bring about any crazy opportunity. I couldn't foresee it, but I didn't have to. I just had to continue doing what I loved and continue connecting with people, and everything would fall into place. So again, now I have a following of people who follow my music. They don't just watch my videos on YouTube. They listen to my music. They genuinely care about me as a person. I genuinely care about them as a person. I've made connections with people from Sony records in the Philippines. They see that I have a Filipino following. They want to help me out. This was also through my album release party. So it's just opportunity all over the place once you learn to just get out of your own fucking way. Get out of your own way. That is what the law of attraction is. The law of attraction doesn't say sit on your couch, eat bonbons, do nothing else but think positive. That's it. That's not what the law of attraction says. What you have to do, what you really have to do, is understand that bad days happen. Bad days will always happen. You're alive. If you're living, you're not always going to have a good fucking day. You're not always going to be the happiest person ever. But even through that unhappiness, if you soldier on and you continue to push through and you continue to push through and work towards your goals, as long as your goals and what you're working toward are what you're passionate about and what you love doing, great things come. And they come quick. No pun intended. They come really, really fast. That sounds really bad. So that's the whole point of this podcast. You can make anything. If you have a goal, you have a dream, you can make it happen as long as you just believe that it will. But on top of believing that it will, put the work in that's needed. Even if you have a full-time job and you're going to school. I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk a lot, and he says all the time there's 24 hours in a day. You need at least, let's say, 6 to 8 hours of sleep. And then another, you could spend 4 hours working. That's 12 hours. And then the remaining 12 hours, you could go to work for 8 hours. And then you still have 4 hours left over that you can utilize. No, you won't sleep much, but you'll be working toward what you love. I'm constantly busy. I'm constantly going, genuinely. I constantly am doing something toward progressing in my music or whatever it is. I'm always recording a video. I'm always recording a podcast. I'm always thinking of new goals and new things to attack. But I'm happy. I've never been happier. Because I'm working towards shit that I love, that I want to, that I'm passionate about. So that's the whole point of this. I hope I made some sort of point. And that's that. That's really all I got to say about that. So what I would suggest is visiting whattheworldneeds.us, checking out that website. Check out our logo. I have T-shirts and everything like that. It's pretty dope. And also check out SoundCloud. The podcast is on SoundCloud, iTunes. If you want to check out my music, you can check. My name is Tori Franco, ToriFranco. I'm on SoundCloud. I'm on Spotify. I'm on YouTube. I'm everywhere. So yeah, this is episode 2 of What the World Needs podcast. Can't wait to see you guys again. Peace out.